Where else would you start your mornings than with us here on Breakfast Central? We're here to give you everything you need to know when it comes to news and insightful discussions. I am Gbenga Olive. And I am Olive, and we're excited to be here again with these men who maybe communicated with themselves without telling me what the dress code for today is. But, I mean, it's good to stand out as a lady. This betrayal will not be sustained. It's not a betrayal. We're men of timber and caliber. Yeah.
Wow. Gbenga, yeah, too much, you know. That's why I appreciate you, all the time. It's not easy, but I think Olive has been inspired, and she will continue to be inspired by what took place yesterday. After all, a woman stood firm and reminded Nigerians that we do have a constitution and we do have a law. But what we've seen these days is that the constitution and law have all of a sudden been taken over by politicking and politics.
And she defied the odds. Kogi woman king. But let's leave that gist to the woman. It will be nice for Olive to deliver it.
And I'll start with a motivational speech. You know, that story has inspired me with a motivational speech. When enemies or when life puts barricades in front of you, take those barricades and fly over them. Wow. That is exactly what Senator Natasha Akpoti.
Shakespeare will be proud.
I think that's just a round of applause.
Is it inspired by Shakespeare?
No. It's inspired by the delectable Senator Natasha Akpoti,
who
was supposed to have a homecoming, and a day before that an announcement was made by the state government banning large gatherings, convoys, and therefore blocking out the ability for her to come in by road or by water. But what her team and herself did was to figure out a way to circumvent that directive, and then they came in with a helicopter with massive support of Kogi State women and men out there applauding her, supporting her, rooting for her, cheering for her. And the question was, those 250,000 constituents who signed the recall form, who went to say that they're trying to recall her, where were they? Where were these 250,000 persons? So now, in the speech where she addressed, you can see the teeming population of people. And to be honest, many of the reactions we've seen are people saying, you cannot buy this, you cannot fake this. It looks like organic loyalty. It looks like people who are excited to be there, right?
And then when she was...
Sorry? In the hot sun. And when she was addressing the people, she said that she did not break any laws. She did not. She's a Nigerian woman who's coming home as the senator representing Kogi people. She's coming home to speak with her people, to celebrate Eid with her people. But let's take a listen.
There was no activity. So what did they do? They went into some rooms and assembled a few of them and started filling in the petitions themselves. That was what they did. And I believe INEC has been notified of this. And this actually is another litmus test on INEC to redeem its image. 250,000, really? 250,000 here in Kogi Central came out in just about how many days? In 2 days? In 2 days, 250,000 people came out to sign petitions for the recall of the most performing senator in Nigeria. Are they for real? From my own personal perspective, what I see INEC doing is aiding and guiding the petitioners on how to perfect their illicit acts. The first time the petition was submitted, they didn't have address, phone numbers, and all of that. So we ran a check on the status of registration of the association, which sponsored my recall, Kogi Central Political Frontier, and the CAC report came negative that association is not registered. So I'm still waiting. I'm wondering why INEC has not yet made a statement to that effect.
That's just one of the many things she spoke about. So many areas were covered. She talked about the attempt to recall her, also talked about the case and, the case going to court, stating that Justice Obiora had recused himself from the case because of a petition by Senator Godswill Akpabio. However, she alluded to the fact that from information she's gotten that it wasn't really him recusing himself, but that he was intimidated. there was a threat to him. So there are strong allegations that were being made there. And she's also said that the case has been handed over to Justice Nyako, and she hopes that Justice Binta Nyako will be able to withstand the pressure, which then reminds me, the popular Justice Binta Nyako of Nnamdi Kanu's case. And you know, this is another very dicey case, and it will be interesting to see how this will turn out.
Absolutely. Like you said, she said quite a lot of things. And the part I wanted to talk about was law enforcement. She said she had not broken any laws. According to the Kogi State Commissioner of Information, he granted an interview yesterday after the incident and said, look, it's not the governor that will give orders on who to arrest or when to arrest someone. It's the Kogi State Police Commander would use their discretion. But according to her, she said she's broken no laws. And luckily, or would I say thankfully, there was no breakdown of law and order. And she also anticipated that if there was a breakdown of law and order, hold Senate President Akpabio and former Governor Yaya Bello responsible. But thank God those elements, maybe they ate too much salad rice and they couldn't wake up to disrupt the so-called elements that they saw in the security report.
Right. So, I mean, it's very interesting because in that same conversation, when he talked about not haven't broken the directive, a security directive given by the state government. He said, yes, nobody's talking about a law. We're saying about security directives, and that's what she broke, and that the government got intelligence, security intelligence, that there was going to be a breakdown. So they asked him. And they asked
breakdown by?
Breakdown of law and order.
By who?
They did not tell us who.
Elements.
And when they asked him in the conversation, when they asked him that, okay, so was there a breakdown? He said yes. From look at the statements she was making, the insightful statements she was making. You know, that those things can trigger people, that if they had not cordoned off and put those stringent measures to prevent the convoy and all that, people could have come in and use unscrupulous elements.
You know, he did use unscrupulous elements. Sometimes I ask a question. Do we agree now that Nigeria is made up of illiterates?
That's a strong statement.
Are we all illiterate?
No.
It's a question.
Okay, yes.
Is Nigeria now, do we have citizens who didn't go to school, who are senseless? These are questions you start to ask yourself when you hear some comments being made by people who have been elected into office.
Or do you think we're all under 5?
Or do you think we are, maybe we're 5-year-old. Oh, please, don't touch the wall. If you touch the wall, it's going to move. And then we step back and say, oh, I wouldn't touch it. So there are certain sentiments or statements being made by people who have been elected into office or offices, and you don't expect them to say things that they say. One thing I looked out for was this. One, Natasha lives there. Are you trying to say that she should not come back to our house? It's like you going to work, like we all are at work, and want to go back home and they tell us, oh, you would never come into your house because we're going to barricade the whole place. For what reason? Why? And then I also feel so bad for taxpayers' money, because all the security operatives are using to block, everywhere, roads and all that. They're all on taxpayers' money, taxpayers' wages, and it's high time that people understand that. Listen, all our monies, the people of Kogi should be able to ask, those in power, that is this what our monies are being used for?
Look at what happened in the last administration under Yaya Bello. You used taxpayers' money
to break down the
road.
I think they should have learned. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because this is the same Senator Natasha, and they broke down the road to our polling units to prevent people from going to vote. Yet she was able to find a way to be able to surmount that. Senator Natasha Akpoti Uduaghan is that muscle of Eba that you swallow, whilst rushing your food, that refuses to go down your chest. Even when you use water to drink it, it refuses to go down. She has shown and continues to show them that she's going to fight to the finish. And for what it's worth, I think the moral of this story, or the lesson or the takeaway from here, is when you believe in something, hold fast to your convictions, regardless of what the world thinks. I know you saw when she was given the This Day Award, and she, in her acceptance speech, she said she almost didn't come for the award because of, she felt maybe she felt down, like people weren't supporting her, but just coming into the hall, hearing people applauding her, cheering for her, made her realize that she actually has more support than she knows. So she's that muscle that would refuse to go down, and she will fight to the finish.
To the men, please, let's be better men. Let's be gentlemanly. We saw Barack Obama, Martin Luther King. There's so many examples. Nelson Mandela. It's politics. We should be having competitive fights. Okay, she empowered constituents with X number of business ideas.
I'll do
She empowered 2,800 women.
Interestingly, what we have here in
and so
situations is, I mean, if someone had said to me one time that they were doing a lot of work, because I was saying, no, you're doing so much work. Why aren't you showing a number of these things on your social media so people can say, as I was working, my boss called me and said, you're working too much, you're making the rest of us look bad. So that's unfortunately the kind of
that's what happens in a dysfunctional society.
That's the right word, Gbenga. I take that word. We have a dysfunctional system where nothing really works. And if you try to be the shining light or the shining star, then they tell you, hey, come on, you're getting brighter than we are, so you need to tone it down a bit. But this should teach everyone a lesson that if you've been following this story, let's be honest, it's plain politics. Everybody's actually, politicking with everything. But at what time do we agree that politics has gone too far? I think for me, it's gotten too far when you try to deny the people of their civil rights. For instance, you can't tell me I cannot go to I'm still going to highlight that. You couldn't have told her she cannot come back home. It's a public holiday, and she says, listen, I want to come back home. So if she had decided to use the road, what will happen? You would block her, take pictures, do videos, and I put it on social media and call the press conference and say, yes, we told her to go back. She was about to come and cause trouble. But this time, she thought she was ahead of the game. Kind of like reminds me of the song, ahead of the game.
She really has been. So it's almost like before they think of something, they're thinking one step forward. She's already 3 steps ahead.
Yeah.
However, that's not to take away the fact that strong allegations have been made. Whilst we can make inferences of, this looks like these people did this because of her. If she's making strong allegations of the plot against her, I think it's also important that she's able to say, this is the information I've been able to gather, this is who I've been able to speak with, and this is what I've been able to find, to be able to make such strong allegations. But nobody's going to pretend that they don't know that what's happening here is politics.
It's a strong case. I mean, like you said, she did make some strong allegations too. The good news is that these allegations have also been put forth to the Nigerian police. We do hear that she's also presented that. These allegations are very strong, I must say.
Weighty.
This time, they're very weighty, they're heavy. I mean, calling on the same Senate president again, and then also linking it with the current Kogi State governor, and saying that he was told to actually, unalive her. I mean, if you want to unalive someone, that's a strong statement to make, especially in
life and death.
Yeah, and then she said if she was to be unalived, it had to be in Kogi State and not in the Federal Capital Territory. So, question again for Natasha, isn't she also going too far? You see, this entire charade, I want to call it, or I would like to say this entire drama, is starting to lead to where we may not want it to lead to.
Well, if her life,
I just feel that way.
If genuinely, I don't think that anyone whose life is at risk, if she can show evidence that she has information. She hasn't proven the first one. I mean, that one, I don't think that one she has to prove that to us. If she can prove to law enforcement agencies, she has her lawyers, she has law enforcement agencies, and she has enough evidence to show that her life is a threat. There's nothing like going too far. Anybody will go too far to defend their life, really.
And someone of her status, I'm sure she understands the gravity
of her being able to say something that's
an allegation. So we'll give her the benefit of
that. She's always been a fighter. She's never stopped fighting. And I understand that this is a conversation that will definitely lead to more conversations today. But let's move on to another story now. It's very sad. And this story, guys, when I actually, had to read through it again, it kind of like struck a part of me that made me ask the same question I had asked here yesterday on the show. Calling on the #1 citizen of Nigeria, which is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, are you going to call a state of emergency in Benue State? Because eventually the youths in Benue State decided to take it upon themselves to come out and protest. There has been a series of reports concerning killings of indigents. Women have been, in other words, raped. Farmers have been, decapitated, and so on and so forth. And yet, they've reported these cases to security operatives. Nothing has been done. Not just that, they said what even triggered this was the fact that a young man was equally shot. And while he was shot, they tried to rush him to the hospital. He didn't make it. And just before then, there was another attack. So the Benue youths decided to take it upon themselves to say, listen, enough is enough. They came out huge numbers yesterday, and they obstructed the roads and told everyone it is high time either the security operatives or the president does something, or else nothing will happen. But let's take a look at the video and see for ourselves.
We will do our peaceful protest. No man born of a woman can stop us, because enough is enough. Look at the way every night people will be chased from their homes, people will be killed, people will be kidnapped. Today we are expecting another killing. Today we are expecting another kidnapping. Today we are expecting flying herdsmen. Today we are expecting people's properties to be destroyed. How can we remain like this? Enough is enough. We use this medium to call again on the executive governor of Benue State. I said earlier, anybody telling you to go is right is a lie. Anybody telling you to see is right is a lie. Just yesterday, a man was arrested from Agatu because he needs to frame on the herbicide on his farmland to farm again, because farming season is approaching. And we know that the police came to arrest that man. For what reason? There is an open grazing law in Benue State. Yeah, we are not supposed to see anybody doing open grazing in Benue State. And if there is open grazing in Benue State, the person has committed the law against the law. The person already committed against the law. And if you have committed, why are you harassing innocent people, innocent farmers? Why are you making us homeless? We are beginning to suspect our leaders. Yes. And their hands are in this thing. This security, this more money to government. This security, this more money to local government. This security, give more money to the state government. And that is why they have refused to do that, so that their security votes will be going faster and faster. Just yesterday, this reasonable man who has been of succor to several families was just shown.
You could hear the passion in his voice.
I saw a reaction to this video, and someone said he said how strategic and how convenient, and that why is it now that they are doing all of this because of the Uromi killings? Remember the tribal coloration that we had seen as soon as the Uromi killings became mainstream conversation, and the religious coloration as well. And I felt like that was very unfair, which leads me back to what I said yesterday again, that two truths can coexist. The fact that people were involved in a mob attack, and these people should be brought to face the law, because Nigeria should not be a jungle. Unfortunately, we're still seeing that people are acting like we're in a jungle. And secondly, insecurity is a challenge. And if the people of Uromi, the people of Benue, the people in Plateau,
it's their reality.
It's their reality. I remember being in a gathering once with friends, and somebody said, "Please pray for my family." I got news yesterday that there were sporadic shootings. This was in Plateau State, and I don't know what's going to happen by morning. We're having like a fellowship, and then we all have to start praying. That's the reality of a number of Nigerians who go to bed and don't know if they're going to wake up the next day alive in their homes in certain parts of the of the country. But it feels like in certain other parts we're shielded from this reality, and in a way we become desensitized to what is happening. It's almost like, hey, they've killed this person. In fact, the newspaper headline won't even have it on the front page. There'll be one tiny corner there.
And it's just numbers. It's
just numbers. And it's sad. I'm hoping that the president, I don't think it's just even a state of emergency in Benue State. President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, when he was president, did call for state of emergency as a result of insecurity challenges.
Absolutely.
It's a nationwide problem.
It is.
It is a nationwide. Everybody feels like, oh, it's not happening to me now. No. Like they say, it will touch everybody. If we're not careful, it will get to everybody.
I mean, it did get to a member of the Senate, of course, we do remember, what's his name?
I've now forgotten his name as well.
My memory fails me this morning. I think we need some coffee, by the way. We should be getting that.
Thank you, guys.
So
that's true. They have on perfect.
So it did happen to, his aide, and he took it upon himself to say, listen, we need to attack this problem.
But that was, and that was criticized as well. People were saying, so if you did not touch your aide, it wouldn't have been a problem. Because I remember those were the conversations that we had.
Like Joe said in his opening statement, it gets to a level where you say enough is enough. That's why they took to the streets. They've made several reports to the constituted authorities that, please, this herdsmen are attacking us. And what makes you a man if you cannot provide security for your immediate family and community? What's the role of the president, commander-in-chief of the armed forces? What's the role of the governor? If these people have failed, what are you leaving them to? It's almost like there's a culture of impunity. Their hands are tied, and you allow someone to keep taking shots at me. It will get to a boiling point where they would have to be replaced.
Absolutely. We're pushing people to the wall.
Let me just take it from the way you said it. Someone interpreted it quite differently. It sounded a bit, not too clean, but he said it's what they're going through in these communities is like when your hands are tied,
Exactly.
and then you're watching men take turns on your wife.
That's
It's-
right.
it's that
And that is even a practical reality
what
of some
happened to
people.
some of them.
Yes.
Because they say their women go, they never, some don't return. So you see, there is a reality that a lot of Nigerians have not heard and seen. And I think it beckons on all of us. I mean, we know News Central is doing its best, and we'll definitely continue to do our own best. I also think that it's high time these guys start telling their stories. These realities need to be brought to the open. They are. I think we need to do more, because we stand here every morning, we're calling on the president, they are calling on the president. We just saw a video where they're saying things need to be done. They're calling on the governor, Hyacinth Hilaire, and saying we need to do things. I think we need to amplify more.
We also need communication from the government side. They need to give us regular updates. What are you doing about the situation? Are you aware of the situation? What are your shortcomings? What help do you need from communities and civilians? And we all have a role to play.
The security challenge is the reason why a number of people have even jackpot out of the country and refuse to come back, because they just think I need to be in a place that guarantees security. But we'll continue to talk about these stories as they come up. Let's now bring you latest update that Burkina Faso has taken another step in its severing itself from the rest of us here, us mere mortals. And now they have redefined what their legal attire should look like. They've moved away from the colonial attire to a traditional Burkina Faso attire. And that's what you can see there. It's black adorned with gold, and their flag, their Burkina Faso flag. And I mean, very interesting there. Part of the reasons they've given, of course, would be that, one, they're moving away from colonial mentality and decolonizing their judiciary, and that secondly, it's actually cheaper, and they are promoting their domestic fabrics and the likes.
Well, don't forget that Ibrahim Traore has, since he took over power, or the reins of power, he has made one thing and one thing clear, that they would not allow neo-colonialism in any sort of form to continue in that part of Africa. And that's exactly what he's doing. But as we speak about this...
Maybe we should ask Nigerian lawyers what they think about this. Do you think that here in Nigeria as well, we should adopt that and set aside the wig and gown and maybe start to look for Ashoki, Adire, Akwocha, and all our traditional attires?
You know. I can only picture.
I would like it. I would like it. Anyway.
What's the name of that Igbo attire with lion head?
Ishago. I love it.